project with some very fun and unusual paint. So let me show you. I thought before we got into the project, I'd show you a little bit about the paint and how it works and what makes it so special. So let me show you here a close-up of the bottle. This is DecoArt Suede Paint. And today for this project, we're going to be using two colors. I have here a khaki, and then we're also going to be using a light fern to highlight certain parts of the project and give it a little bit more depth. So before we get in the project, let's look at how this paint actually works. So the first thing, it's actually really easy to use, and the results are incredible. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to shake it. Make sure you get the paint is completely shaken, and then you just simply remove the lid. Take a little bit. Now I've already been practicing a little bit here before I got on the camera with you guys, but we want to just dip a brush, and you want a pretty good amount here. We don't want to be skimpy with the paint. And then the key to making this paint work is we're going to be doing a cross hatching pattern. And the reason for that is because the paint has a slight texture to it. We want to make sure the cross hatching pattern actually activates all of that texture and gives the appearance of suede. Now it's a little bit hard to see here because this paint is still wet, but you can probably tell here a little bit just the rough texture and the illusion that this is actually a suede-like surface. So that's exactly how the paint works. I just wanted you guys to see the principle before we got into the project. Are you ready to see what we're gonna do today and make our fun hook project? Okay, let's go. Now before we get started, let's look through the supplies that we'll need for this project. Since we are here at home, I basically found some supplies around the house that I thought might be fun to use. This is used to be something else in another life, and today we're going to make it into a wall hook. I don't know about your style, but my style is a little bit farmhouse, a little bit rustic, a little bit eclectic, and a whole lot of vintage. So we're going to transform this into a vintage hook. So we have this piece right here. This is just a piece I had sitting around the house. You could cut a square out of plywood, you could cut a square out of wood, you could use maybe a plaque that you had. You could make anything you could use basically anything as the base for this hook. The second thing that I found around the house are these pieces this is just a floor molding project that we were working on, and I thought this would be a really fun, I don't know if y'all can see there, but the texture and the grooves in this piece of molding. I have some other examples. This is one piece we were using. Here's another piece that we were using. I wanted to add this in here to give us a base for our hook and to really give us a little bit of depth and texture for the project. So, and the third thing that we're going to use is this is just a basic hook. You can get it at any hardware store. All of these craft supplies I had around the house. This hook you can get from your local hardware store. You could even take a hook off of maybe another project if you are crafting at home like me. And lastly, we're going to show you the paint that I already used. We're going to use this for this project, this suede paint in khaki, and then this suede paint in light fern. Okay, so the first thing we're going to want to do is we want to attach our molding piece to our piece of wood. So I've already seen, as you can see here, I've already pre-drilled the holes into this piece of molding, and you simply place it in the center of the piece of wood, and then you want to make sure that your screw is long enough to go completely through the molding piece into the piece of wood. You're going to take your screw and line it up like this, and then you want to make sure that your drill is straight on like this. Okay, so now we have our piece of molding attached to our wood, and we're going to use our suede paint to create a rustic kind of textured finish. So you want to, remember we were going to shake up the paint first, and then you come and we're just going to take our paint and we're going to cross hatch it like as shown, like this, on our piece of wood to make sure that we get a nice rough cross-hatched finish, just like as shown. And we're going to go ahead and just do it on the piece of molding as well. And you don't want to skimp on the paint on this. You want to make sure that you get a good amount of paint, because especially on raw wood, if you'll notice, this wood right here is very rough. The wood itself is rough. And so look at that. Can you see that finish? Oh my gosh. It looks so beautiful. I love it. It's so pretty. And you want to make sure, if like on your screws, make sure you dot your screws so they are completely covered up. And then over here, let's do some more cross hatching. And you just keep going until you have finished completely covering this. And you wanna make sure that you get your edges like this too. Make sure to do the cross hatch on the edges so you get a little bit of rough. I just love the finish on this. It's going to, and this color, this khaki color, is going to go perfectly in my kitchen. I'm gonna use this to kind of put my keys on by the back door, because who doesn't lose their keys? Which, if y'all don't lose your keys, then I'm not sure that we can be friends. Because I lose my keys all the time. And so you can see, and I kind of like just a little bit of the wood. You can kind of see here that I'm allowing the little bit of the wood to show through. And that way, you know, it blends in perfectly and adds to the rustic finish on the suede paint. You can kind of see it here. And I'm almost done with this. And we just keep going until we have all, make sure you get all the edges. And again, make sure that you're using that crosshatch pattern when you're applying this paint to make sure that the suede finish comes through. And I am almost done. Here, let me just get this edge of this right here. Make sure I got the top. Okay, perfect. And then here we are. Oh, look how cute that looks, y'all. Can y'all see that? Let's do a close-up of this so we can see what it looks like, how pretty the paint is turning out. Now this is with the paint still wet, so we're gonna set this aside for now and we're gonna let it dry completely before we move on to the next step. Okay, so our painted wood has almost dried. It has a few little wet spots, which are fine because we're gonna go ahead and blend the two paint colors together. So the next thing is, again, we're gonna use another brush, and we want to go ahead and we're gonna do just a light cross hatch on certain areas of the wood. I don't know if y'all can see that. We're just giving it a little bit of highlight. We don't want to spend a lot of time, but can y'all see how that's just picking up the kind of the curves and the surface here? We're just trying to give our project just a little bit more depth with this. This is called light fern. And so it's just a green that has just a hint of, it's a good idea. One quick tip whenever you're painting is if you use a base color and then you go back and use an accent color, then it is a great way. Oh my gosh, look at the mottled, I don't know if y'all can see the kind of the mottled finish of this, how pretty it looks, and it kind of creates the appearance of a suede on our wood. I think it is such a pretty finish. So let's just go ahead and make sure we lightly cross hatch around the sides of it. And so there we go. We have enough of our accent color now. So we want to go ahead and set this aside and let this completely dry before we attach our hook. Okay, our completed hook base is all ready to go. The last thing that we need to do is we're just going to attach the hook up here at the top, and then it's ready to hang. And now here's our finished hook project ready to hang. I hope you guys had fun hanging out, no pun intended, and crafting with me today. Thank you, a giant shout out to DecoArt and this amazing suede paint. It was a great product to use, and I had so much fun. Here's to all the crafting and all the painting projects yet to